Okay guys, so I just wanted to make a short training video covering progressive overload. It's something that's come up a little bit in terms of questions and check-ins, how to actually progressively overload, what is it, why is it so important. So I just wanted to run you over this short presentation. So what actually is progressive overload? It's an increase in weight, frequency, or the number of reps in your strength training routine. So essentially you're increasing the total volume each week and getting better week on week. Why is it so important? It means that you are avoiding plateau. Like, it means that you're adding, reps to the set each week, weight to the bar. I mean, it's just a gradual increase in improvement week on week. And aside from a lack of consistency, plateauing in strength is probably the biggest stall of progress. When I kind of discovered progressive overload, whatever you want to call it, this was a game changer for me. I put on quite a bit of muscle, so it's something that we encourage everyone on the program to kind of get the hang of and get to grips with straight away as soon as they come on the program, because it just means that your results are going to be accelerated and you're going to kind of get to where you want to be quicker. So obviously it goes without saying it's essential that you track your weight in the program so that you know how you can actually progressively overload. And another way to think about it is you're giving your body an actual reason to change. If you don't change the stimulus, if you don't add more reps, add more weight to the bar, your body's just going to stay the same because it becomes accustomed to the stimulus that you're placing on it. So progressive overload and the need to do that, it becomes more important as you get more experience. If you start focusing on it early in your journey, as I said before, it will just accelerate your rate of progress, and you'll get to where you want to be quicker. So for someone like myself, like, progressive overload is absolutely essential. I have to be very meticulous with my training, because I've trained for over a decade in order to see progress. And obviously your ability to progressively overload is going to be affected by your other lifestyle factors that we'll go on to in a second. Nutrition will obviously play a part, and where you are kind of in your nutrition journey, whether you're in a surplus, maintenance, or a fat loss phase, it's going to depend on that as well. But apart from that, like, the way that we structure the training, everyone in the program should be able to progressively overload week on week, provided that they are, putting the necessary effort into their nutrition, provided that they are well recovered and well slept. Progress is also very motivating. When you can see yourself getting stronger each week, it makes you want to kind of push harder, and it makes you look forward to that next session. Like, I've gone through phases of my own training where I maybe wasn't progressing for whatever reason, and I wasn't as kind of psyched up to go and do those sessions. So just like it's motivating to see physical progress, strength progression is very motivating as well. It leads to adherence to the program, and that is the most important thing to get results, is obviously adhering to the program and actually doing it. So it's essential to track your progress so that you actually see it week to week, month to month. And as I've said, it's similar to progress photos in that sense. Like, whatever you can track, it's going to motivate you if you're improving. So there's different types of progressive overload. So first and foremost, weight. So adding a little bit of weight to the bar, using slightly heavier dumbbells each week. But you only want to do that if you've maxed out the rep ranges and if you are satisfied with your form on all reps of all of the sets. And obviously you can get myself and the other coaches on the program to review your form to make sure that you are kind of ready to, graduate to that next weight. So in terms of maxing out the rep range, what I mean by that is, obviously on some of the blocks of training we give you a range of reps to work in. So for example, with this is taken from block 1, 8 to 10. So you would only increase the weight once you'd hit 3 sets of 10. If it was 3 sets of 8, the job then is to add more reps, maybe 3 sets of 9 and then 3 sets of 10. But it doesn't quite have to be as clear cut as that. It could be, it could be a set of 10 and then it could be a set of 9 and then a set of 8. But the ultimate goal is to get up to, for example, 3 sets of 10, and then the next session you would look back at your previous numbers and then add weight. And if you can do that over the course of 1, 2, 3, even 6 months, so you're going to be significantly stronger. And going back to what we were talking about before, the volume is going to be massively increased. So with all this, make sure that you are progressively overloading week to week, but play the long game and remember what the goal is. Over the course of the training block, we want to get stronger. Always leave a little bit in the tank so that you can progressively overload next week. And when you get to the end of the training block, whether that's 4 weeks or 5 weeks, you should feel like you need to kind of progress through to the next one. Another kind of primary form of progressive overload, as I've kind of mentioned there, is reps. So adding reps to the point where you can then increase the rate. So adding reps within the prescribed rep range, as I said before, and then once you complete, you can kind of graduate to that next level. And as I was kind of mentioning before as well, you can adjust the weight if you over or undershoot. So what I mean by that is you might select a weight, you might do, 8 reps on this 3 sets of 8 to 10 and realize it's too heavy and you won't be able to do that in set 2. So then you can bring the weight down. It's always important to kind of listen to your body and understand whether you're kind of pushing yourself too hard. And there's a reason why we give you these rep ranges. So for sets of 8 to 10, I would never want to see anyone doing a set of 5 or 6. That's too heavy. So just a bit of an insight into our kind of blocked training program. So blocks generally last 4 to 5 weeks, depending on the client and the situation. And as I said before, the aim is to progressively overload every week in an ideal world, provided that everything else in the program is going well, nutrition, stress, recovery, things like that. So the job in week 1 is to get accustomed to that new block of training, find the baseline numbers. There will be a little bit of experimentation required with different weights to kind of get you in those ranges, and then weeks 2 to 4 or maybe even 5, that's where you go for it and try and overload week on week, and that's what's going to lead to the progress for to muscle gain, and it's going to contribute to fat loss as well. So as I've said, leave something in the tank for the future weeks and in line with your RPE, which will have been explained in your onboarding document. So just wanted to go over some different rep ranges from our programming. So this is block 1, what we call straight sets, 3 sets of 8 to 10. So you could be doing sets of 8, 9 or 10 in this block. This is what you'd call a descending rep scheme, where you go from 12 to 10 to 8 to 5. So as I've written here, the weight increases as the reps decrease, and then the aim here is to kind of peak at that set of 5. So on the set of 12, 10 and 8, you'd be leaving probably 2 reps in the tank, just to allow you to kind of have that energy at the end to peak for that set of 5. And as you'll see in a lot of the training programs, we ask you to send videos over so that we can review, and again, be conservative in week 1, find the baseline numbers, and then add weight week to week. This is a kind of more complex rep range structure. I think this is block 5, so this is what we call a broad pyramid scheme. So very, very high volume, used in a high volume block of training to accumulate a lot of reps. So with this, you would basically, the same numbers need to match. So let's say you did 40 kg on the incline press for the set of 10, you would need to do 40 kg on the final set of 10, and then you'd increase the weight on the set of 8. It could be 45, and then it could be 50 in the middle. So you're maintaining your weights there. The first 2 sets might not be that challenging, maybe like an RPE 7, but by the time you get back down to here, it should be pretty challenging. Again, this isn't the same as doing like 3 sets, it's a lot more volume, so I wouldn't be comparing your numbers from two different blocks of training. There's a different reason why we're doing this, and there's a different stimulus. A kind of secondary form of progressive overload is tempo. So as I've said in a lot of the check-ins, there's a lot to be said for just slowing things down, and this becomes more relevant to someone who is more experienced like myself. And also, if you're slightly fatigued one day, you could use the same weight as you did the week before, but slow it down, and that is progressive overload in itself. And if you really wanted to, you could go lighter. The most important thing is that we're getting stronger over the course of the entire training block. Don't kind of get too hung up if you can't massively increase your numbers week to week. Slowing down tempo, it's a good way to create intensity without frying your central nervous system if you just feel like you need a bit of a break. And then obviously those of you that are maybe doing a lot of running as well, you could be fatigued one day, so it's a good kind of technique that you can use there to still provide intensity in your workouts. Form improvement as well, relevant to anyone in the program, even myself. I always video myself to make sure that I am improving my form. So you could literally stick at the same weight and the same number of reps 2 or 3 weeks in a row, but if your form is improving, that is progressive overload in itself. And as I always say, rep 1 of a set should be equal to rep 10 in terms of maintaining your form. So it's not just for the kind of strength training, resistance training. You should be aiming to progressively overload in your finishers as well, so you can increase the reps and the weights where possible. You can reduce the rest time a little bit. That's a sign of improving fitness. You can just increase the intensity a little bit on the bike or the other ergs like the ski or the row. And I would encourage you to track those as well. Track everything in the program to make sure that you're improving. Running, we progressive overload in different ways. Reductions in heart rate, increases in pace and time, but obviously those will be detailed for you in the program depending on what you're currently working on, if you are doing running as well. There could be a few factors that are holding you back from overloading, and you need to kind of understand that. So if you have injuries, then we just need to be realistic and sensible and maybe pull back the intensity and understand that you're maybe not going to be able to progressively overload on that movement or that movement pattern for a certain amount of time. But obviously you'll be guided by myself and the other coaches on the program with that. Illness, so it goes without saying, if you're ill 1 week, the intensity is probably not going to be there, and I would recommend probably reducing your numbers, and then when you've recovered from the illness, going back to the previous ones, but understanding that it might take you a couple of weeks to get back to that. When you're overly fatigued, that could be from other things in your life, or it could be from training, and it could maybe be a sign that you need a deload week, so always communicate with your coach to make them aware of that. External stress factors, you've got to understand that obviously the resistance training is a stress on the body, but work stress, relationship stress is literally another stress on the body as well. So we've got to take all these factors into account. But again, that's what you're going to be communicating with us about in the check-ins. Sleep is the main one. Speaking from personal experience, when you're better slept, you're always going to be able to perform better. And as I always say, sleep is the foundation of health, so always strive to improve that whenever you can in terms of duration and quality. And then when you're looking to improve form, as I said, we might tell you that for 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks, we just want to work on your form. So you might not be able to increase the weight, but as I said before, improving your form, it almost is a form of progressive overload in itself. So you just need to have a holistic view to it and understand that there's a lot more going on than just trying to up the weights every week in the gym. And as coaches, it's definitely just important to manage expectations for all clients. So the rate of progress will be slow for more advanced individuals like myself, and you need to be more tactical with how you progressively overload the more experienced that you are. But obviously we'll give you guidance on that. It also depends on your phase in terms of your nutrition as well and what you're working towards. So someone who is in a calorie deficit, I do believe they will still be able to progressively overload, and you should strive for that, but it's going to be at a slower rate than someone who is eating at maintenance and someone who is eating in a surplus. So you just have to understand that. Sometimes you just don't have a good day for whatever reason. Just suck it up, get over it, and kind of strive to improve it the week after. If you can't overload consistently, you're kind of coming into roadblocks, let us know, because as I've said, the way that we design the training programs, you should be able to progressively overload because they're fairly short training blocks. They're 4 to 5 weeks, rather than just giving you the same training program for 8 to 10 weeks, where it would be difficult to progressively overload with. But yeah, just speak to us about that. So yeah, I hope that was helpful.